when fights are happening, there's lots of domestic violence. And children are sensitive because they expect normalcy, because they expect that daddy and mommy love each other.
Yeah.
Sadly, there is more depression among married people than singles. Just imagine now you have to move out of this relationship, the children are there, what are they thinking? It's very unsettling.
Yeah.
It really hurts me every time I'm talking to children and I see how they disrespect us. And then we are pretending to be big, and then we introduce our and you know, by the time someone asks, should I leave, should I stay? There's a sense of hopelessness. Yeah. There's so many parents who are stuck in dysfunctional marriages because of the children. And they ask me, is it worthwhile?
Welcome back to Reality Check. We are excited that you are back again to this channel that cares for hearts and minds. Every single week we have conversations on mental health in the areas of family, marriage, relationships, and the workplace. And so if that's something that you are looking to be a part of, you are very welcome to subscribe to this channel, like it, and share it with a friend or family member. My name is Rachel, I'm your host. And every single week, I'm joined by Dr. Eva Satwine, who is a trained therapist. She is a life coach, a marriage coach, as well as a parenting coach, and many other life things. She'll be very, very supportive on this journey. And if you'd like to book a session with her, you can go ahead and do that. Her practice is located in Tinda, behind Eliana Hotel. And we have a space here at Suma Coffee and Wellness Center, which is where we are coming to you from. You can also have your sessions here. Come by, get amazing supplements. We are having wonderful, healthy coffee that will leave you feeling energized without the other side effects of caffeine. And also, since it's Women's Month, I would like to recommend this one, which will be very supportive on your journey to cutting belly fat. I know many women struggle with that. And so if this is your vibe as well, do order it or come by Summer Coffee and Wellness Center and get yourself a pack. That being said, we are going to be having a conversation today on unhealthy marriages or unhealthy relationships, specifically focusing on a dilemma that many women and men face, which is, should I stay for the kids or should I leave for the kids? Because either way, you're doing it for them. And so we thought, let's have this conversation. It might help a wife, a husband out there who is kind of struggling with this question. So welcome, Dr. Evas.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
It's good to have you here. So this question is one that many parents are faced with. And I think even our parents from days of old were praised for having stayed in relationships for the sake of children. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? I want to hear your initial thoughts first and foremost.
Well, it's a dilemma.
It's a dilemma, yes.
It's a dilemma, so dilemmas, you can't have a straight answer. It's something to navigate. It's I can never for the life of me really give a straight answer, yeah. Because it's confusing, even for us therapists. Before, when we are supporting people, you have to really have a lot of deeper conversation, navigate a number of things before you can get to the answer whether to stay. And of course, that decision has to be made by the individual. So I can't even get on air and say, oh, you stay or leave. But we're going to have, we have to look at the bigger picture and then help people make the decision.
Okay, so let's talk through what this unhealthy marriage would look like to prompt a mother or a husband, a father, to even consider leaving for the sake of the children. What is going on in this home that a parent would consider this option? Yeah.
Maybe I should start from the conversations we've had before about the importance of marriage.
Please.
Because in my many years of marriage counseling, I think there are certain things we are seeing that we get married, but we probably don't understand how important, how crucial that relationship is. And I've also said, Rachel, that I don't think any person gets married to divorce. No. When we get married, just maybe because I'm in this ministry, when I attend ceremonies, like wedding ceremonies, I'm just looking at people. I see how people are happy, what they are promising each other. You listen to the speeches. Everyone is saying, can't wait to live with you forever.
Yeah.
And so there is that forever element. Unless I haven't met a joker. You know, a joker doesn't really have to take it that far. But even then, we all get into marriage to stay.
True.
Yeah, to live forever. Because there is it's a whole level of responsibility, and so we all get there to stay. So by the time someone is thinking, should I stay, should I not have the children? It's a hard conversation, it's a dilemma.
Yeah.
Now, this is what is happening in an unhealthy marriage. Number one, constant fights. People fight more than relate.
Relate, yes.
And definitely when fights are happening, there's lots of domestic violence. Lots.
Yeah.
Lots. It just reminds me of the statistic I shared here about a recent study that was done in Uganda, which showed that 8 out of every 10 marriages, people are unhappy.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. 77%, which translates into 8 out of every 10 marriages. That's scary. So what is happening there? What do you think is happening? Constant fight. You see? Lack of communication. You see, I've always reminded viewers that marriage is a partnership. Just imagine a partnership where people don't talk.
Imagine that.
What are you up to?
Yeah.
Like, why did you even get together? You see?
So
you are in this marriage, no conversation, no future plans, no dreams, no day-to-day check-ins, no conversation. You know, I've had people who will say, we haven't spoken.
In months.
Months.
Yes.
There's someone who was saying, my wife and I have not spoken for 3 months and I'm still counting. You see that kind of thing? What do you think is happening? What amount of toxicity is in that home environment?
Yeah.
And of course, children are in the picture. You see? Like outright emotion abuse. Emotion abuse manifests in so many things, so many ways. Of course, it's part of domestic violence, where people are belittling each other, insulting in front of children. Someone is coming in at 4. They don't consider that emotion abuse. Yeah, where children are asking, does this person sleep in this, live here, or something, and then they see one unhappy, extremely unhappy most of the time, their mom, and so children are exposed to that silent treatment. There is no conversation, and everyone is just acting human. But then children are sensitive because they expect normalcy, because they expect that daddy and mommy love each other.
Yeah.
Now, in this relationship, of course, we are demonstrating big ministry of love.
That's what we're supposed to model.
We're supposed to model that big ministry of love to the children. So first of all, they expect that the two people who brought them into the world love each other. Don't worry about their definition of love. It's just as simple as that. And so they see how you relate. Indeed, that is love. So they also expect that since you love each other, you love them.
which is why when a divorce is happening, the children will blame themselves.
They blame themselves and they perceive that as rejection. Yeah, they will say our parents reject us. They don't love us. Because if they did,
they would stay together.
They would stay together.
Oh no.
You see? So that's it. The children interpret parents' relationship
as a form of love.
As a form of love to them. Wow. Yes. That's why actually, even when a separation or conflict or dysfunctionality happens, parents, the first thing they go to children, tell them, this happened, but we love you.
Yes.
They say we love you. That assurance, which is important, because children, the first thing the way they look at what is happening, they interpret it as no love and rejection. You see, so that's a marriage, an unhealthy marriage, and and definitely. I mean, I've talked about no planning, no being together, no conversation, excessive conflict. People are fighting more than relating. So that kind of environment. You see, that kind of environment. There's also rejection, like outright rejection. Someone is not providing. There's no provision at all. So there's neglect of both each other, but also of the
family.
The family.
Yeah.
So that kind of environment is definitely challenging to the partners, but also to the children.
Absolutely.
So under such, maybe I should also mention something about resolution of conflict, because conflict is normal, but by the time someone asks, should I leave, should I stay? There's a sense of hopelessness, because you check in the horizon and you don't see any hope, right? Because people conflict. On this show we've talked about conflict management, and I've mentioned that conflict is important in relationship. It's inevitable in any case, but it can be used to our advantage if we mean to do that, and so it helps us to define boundaries, to communicate needs, to be able to listen to each other, and it's very, very important to use it to our advantage.
Absolutely.
However, it's important for us to resolve
that conflict.
Issues will come up. So whenever there is perpetual conflict, you realize one party is not interested in dealing with an issue, a need is communicated, it's not paid attention to. You just keep throwing things under the carpet. So before you know, you have a mountain of unresolved issues. That is a big sign of a toxic relationship, unhealthy marriage. And so it's so under such circumstances, then someone will say,
should I stay, should I leave?
Should I stay, should I leave? But also, Rachel, when you realize children have started picking the vibration.
That part.
Yes. Because when parents, as parents, we think we can be so smart.
Smarter than our
kids. Yes. So we start hiding, discussing, fighting in the bedroom, sulking, running to offices, because work can be a hideout for most of us. And so we think, as long as children are eating and drinking, they are okay. But probably people have realized how children get hypersensitive or hypervigilant, especially when we are fighting. So they will check in. And most of the time they ask mommy, they say, Mommy, are you okay? That's what they ask. They say, Mommy, are you okay? They rarely go to daddy. They rarely go to daddy. And one of the reasons they don't go to daddy is they think daddy is on top of the game. And so they consider that mommy, number one, is the one who can be honest and tell them what is going on. But also they consider that mommy is vulnerable, more vulnerable than the dad. So when things spill to the children, then a person begins to ask, should I stay? Should I now,
leave?
what's happening?
Yeah.
Because now children are being exposed more to our drama and pleasant drama than we are able to hide this. So that's what happens in such a home environment. And then, of course, excessive stress. I should mention that because people need to know that, and I think I've mentioned it here, marriage relationship is not some other random casual thing. It is a life-giving relationship, very, very life-giving. Now, and of course I've explained it scientifically, that's where the biggest chunk of our emotional health is drawn. Any person married, that's a life-giving relationship for you. It's not some random thing. And so it requires intentional investment.
Yeah.
You see, in order for it to serve you.
That's true.
You see? So scientifically, 90% of our health is relational health, relational or emotional health. But 80 of the 90 is actually for people who are married. If you are married, 80% of your health and wellness is from your marriage.
Yeah.
So that is
huge.
That's huge. That's huge. So what happens when the marriage is unhealthy? Then you lose that same amount of health. So that's why we have a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. You know, people are just sick, very depressed. You see, people are developing lifestyle illnesses like high blood pressure, you know, hypertension, lots of cases. And that's why I've always, you know, some of the things we take for granted, like you go home at 4, 3, 2 every night, no explanation, no communication, no nothing. What do you think is happening to the person who is waiting for you?
They're stressed out.
Till that time.
They're worried. They're
worried. They are anxious. And what happens when they are worried? They are anxious every day. The body is producing lots of stress hormones.
Yeah.
So every day, like, what's going on? Am I safe? Well, where is this person? Are they dead? Are they alive? And all that. You see? Now, what is happening to their heart? You're putting a lot of pressure on this person's heart. And it's going to be, before you know, they're just now exposed to danger. You see, they're exposed to danger. So if they are exposed to danger, their health is not going well. It's not going well. Or probably they have lost their self-esteem. You know, so all this, so that emotional health, that mental health, so that's again, we have so many cases now. Ironically, Rachel, sadly, there is more depression among married people than singles.
It will never cease to shock me. Yeah.
Isn't that annoying?
It is annoying.
I mean, it's just like the statistic that there's more HIV amongst married people than the singles.
Also doesn't make sense.
You see, that's an irony.
Yeah.
So when you have an environment where you have people like that, where someone is constantly insecure, constantly anxious, constantly stressed, plunging into depression, and then they are told, hang in there, just hang in there. You know, that's how things are. So it gets quite challenging, and that's where people begin to think, to make that decision.
Yeah.
Am I safe?
Yeah.
Should I
leave?
Should I leave?
But what about the children?
But how about the children? And honestly, it's a valid, very valid dilemma.
Yeah, it is. It is. Before I ask you what, you know, reasons people consider for either leaving or staying, I was having a chat with Dorcas Masekese, one of the therapists at ICFC, and she was telling me a story of a mom or parents who decided to stay together, again, for the sake of the children. It seemed noble at the time when I heard it, but the more I think about it, I'm like, was that really a healthy thing to do? So they separated with her husband at some point because they were not getting along, but because they had children, they decided to put on a show for the kids. And so I think what happened is the husband would come back home, they were sleeping in separate rooms, they would sleep in the same room at night, but in the morning, separate rooms, and then in the morning, one of them would move to the joint room, so that when the kids wake up,
they see people
coming out from the same room, And so this person found out when they were much older and also having challenges in her own marriage. And she said, by the way, this is what we did, and we did it for the sake of keeping the family unit whole, And so when I hear that, I'm like, I see the sacrifice, I see the reasoning behind it, but what did it do for the two individuals, in the relationship? So, I would want to hear your thoughts on that, and then for you to speak to what are some of those reasons that people give to either stay or to leave. And again, like you said, there is no right answer per se, and I think every situation will be unique. But yeah, what have you in your experience had over time?
So I hear that, and it happens a lot. There are so many parents who are stuck in dysfunctional marriages because of the children, and they ask me, is it worthwhile? Now, I'll tell you what. Number one, I've told you that our health is from that marriage. This is a life-giving relationship, not only to the two parties, but to the children. To the children. What does it do? It gives them predictability. Security and predictability for children is key. It's very, very important. It is extremely important because for a child, their world is the parents.
Yes.
So as long as mommy and daddy are okay, then the world is a safe place to live in. That's how their little world operates. If you want to prove this, check when children are in the car with parents. They just sleep.
All is well with the world.
They just sleep in the back chair, and they are not thinking about is daddy driving through Kamocha or wherever. They don't care. They know that daddy, mommy, they're just taking them. They sleep. For us parents, I'm one of them. I'm really, really a bad passenger. When my husband always says it's hard to drive a driver, but
yes, it is.
You see, now it's the same way. As adults, we are more alert. But children are so trusting to parents. They know that as long as daddy and mommy are in the house, and they don't think about fees. They don't think about. So every time their parents' relationship cracks, it's like the ozone layer removed, and we have to get direct heat or direct
from the world.
So their child protection unit or their immediate protection unit are the parents. And so parents know this. They know this. They know, just imagine now you have to move out of this relationship, the children are there, what are they thinking? It's very unsettling. It's very destabilizing. And so it's not an easy decision for anyone to make. I've heard people accuse that person, how could they do that? But by the time they get to that, it's a lot of pressure, it's a sense of hopelessness, it's an extreme sense of helplessness. And so by the time they do that, then they realize it's a matter of life and death. Definitely at different levels. But that reason to stay, some parents know that, others don't know the magnitude. Now, research is showing that, of course, children, I've shared this on one of the episodes when we were talking about the effect of divorce and separation. We are seeing more stress-related illnesses in children, children getting disoriented, because a parent's relationship anchors. It anchors children. They are protected. So children have that sense of predictability, but also it settles them. They are secure. They know that I'm okay. I don't have to deal with the bigger world. But now when parents separate, then they lose out on the opportunity to be a healthy child. They have to deal with certain things who was, I think there is a story that was being told recently. Maybe some I hear them from my counseling room, I don't share them. But they were talking about this very successful person whose parents separated at an early age, and then it was a great family, all dysfunctional now, and parents separated, lost property and all of a sudden a child has to go into selling, I think, bananas or whatever, somehow was picked by road constructors, and that's his story. That's how his story looks like. And he became successful, but you know, later on he's had his family is disintegrating exactly the same way because of the pain he got from
his family.
From his family. And so and when therapy was being done, they realized he was dealing with excessive trauma, excessive anger, you know, and of course parents also don't know that this marriage we have, when we get intentional, we are modeling relationships and love to the children. This is how relationships look like. This is how love looks like. So I don't know whether I'm still answering your question, but the thing is, those are some of the considerations parents look at. If I leave, will my children still be okay? Will they get excessively frustrated? Are they going to get disoriented? Are they going to lose out? Because again, I'll make this statement. I hope parents know that our marriage, the state of our marriage, determines our children's success. Real success, not just getting a job. They can study, they can finish school, but will they hold down a job? Will they be supervised, or they will be angry people? Will they sustain a marriage? You see, will they sustain a marriage later on in the future? Will they, how do they have the energy? Will they relate with the world in a healthy way, or will they be angry people? You see, because of the pain they experience because of the parent. So because of that, some parents go like, let me just hang in there. Let me hang in there. Let me try, maybe somehow. So
it's, again, I mean, like you said, it's not linear. And I think that what most parents go through is, because life is hard in general, I feel like life is about negotiating which hard to pursue. You know, if you're staying, that's hard, because either now you have to pretend with this man, put on a show for your children, and nobody wants to live a life of pretense. But because you have this, you know, this child that you want to protect, you're going to stay in this marriage, however dysfunctional it is, and try and protect, you know, the innocence of your child. If you leave, that's also hard, you know, because you have to deal with the consequences of a broken relationship, go through a lot of, you know, psychosocial support for your child to help them come to a place of normalcy. And so I guess both ways.
Yes. Maybe now I realize probably something else I should have talked about when you asked that question. So in that kind of situation where you have to put up a show, you need a lot of energy for that, for every day. You need a lot of, and you see, of course, life is sacrificial, but you see, also these children, they feed off our health. They feed off our health. Are you sure you can sustain that? And Rachel, look, in this show, let me make it clear that there is no conflict in a marriage that cannot be resolved.
That's true.
That's why when Jesus' disciples, no, it wasn't the disciples, I think the Pharisees who used to ask their very interesting questions and say, should a man divorce his wife and all?
Very direct questions.
And he said, no, they said, but Moses said,
allowed us.
Yeah. What did he say? He said it's because of your hard-heartedness. Now, in my work as a marriage therapist, I'll tell you there is no problem that cannot be resolved. That should therefore put people in such a situation
where they have to pretend.
Where you have to pretend for how long? You see, we don't consider that when we subject ourselves to such unresolved problems, then we are putting our bodies on pressure. And the body is not just, it's not healthy anymore. You're going to put it on so much pressure that it's going to generate lots of stress hormones. That's why we talk about a cortisol surge.
Yeah.
You know, cortisol surge in your bloodstream is not healthy. You see, it disorients, it affects brain functioning. That's how people get disoriented. That's how people are plunging into dementia at an early age. It's not healthy.
No, it's
so
not.
for every day to face unpredictable circumstances, you have unresolved, you're angry, that's not healthy.
Yeah.
To be nursing negative emotions every day, anger, regret, frustration, all that, every day, that's not healthy. That cortisol surge is unhealthy. So it is going to, that's how people are developing lifestyle illnesses. You're putting so much pressure on your heart. Heart-related illnesses, you know, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, risk of heart attack and all that, broken heart syndrome, all those.
All of that.
So how long can you pretend? Why should you pretend? Would you rather deal with the issue? That's why we are talking about therapy. Therapy is not, it's not some luxurious alien thing. No, talk about your issue. You've heard statements like, a problem shared is halfway solved.
Half solved, yes.
In therapy, we say a problem shared is 100% resolved. There is no problem that cannot be resolved. The problem is hard-heartedness. So how long can you do that? And how long can you put up this show? How long can you put up a fake smile? The children are seeing. They know. How long can you run to the bedroom, to the other bedroom and sleep and then jump out? They're going to catch you.
That's true.
They're going to see this. And let me tell you, children are frustrated with adults.
You're supposed to be the smart one in the room, but you're the one who is doing.
That's why they are questioning our maturity. Because they look at us and they go like,
He's supposed to be the adult.
yeah, they say, well, yeah, we see that. And they're going to see this. And you see, when children catch us, let me say that. When they catch you, they see all this, they're exposed to the ugliness of our mess. They lose an important aspect, which is called trust. They look at adults and they say, well, it really hurts me every time I'm talking to children, and I see how they disrespect us, and then we are pretending to be big, and then we introduce another, and you know, they look at you and they go like, I remember this particular boy who said, I was asking him, I said, who talks to you about life, about this, about that? He told me about his friends at school, teacher, I don't know who else, some priest. I said, how about home? And he said, well, maybe mommy tries. And then I said, how about daddy? And he goes like,
He's caught.
Oh my God. He said, daddy is just some other lousy teenager in the house.
Goodness.
Can you imagine that?
That's very telling.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine you go through the family and your children just look at you as some lousy teenager?
That is very disappointing.
He said, that is just some other lousy teenager in an adult body. Wow. So that's exactly what happens. So when children are exposed to that, first of all, children expect that any problem that occurs, daddy can solve it or mommy can deal with it. So when they see us in these constant unending conflicts, they are asking, what's wrong with these two adults? You see?
Are they failing?
Are they failing? And anytime parents fail we are communicating something to the children. Now, remember, we can fail. But you see, when we fail, we need to be honest. But when we are failing and we are faking,
that's different. Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's different. Yeah. So for anyone to put up that, and I know, I'm aware through my line of work, where parents are negotiating, can we just go here, this bedroom, and another in this bedroom? That actually kills children.
The separation of living
space it just kills children. It communicates so many things. You can actually have unhealthy children in that environment. So the issue is, what is that can't be resolved? Are you sure there is an insurmountable situation in your marriage that you cannot solve? Really? What's that?
And that's really what we're aiming for you to be able to resolve your problems. Dr. Evers, I'm sure you do know and appreciate that there are some people, like we said at the beginning, who are stuck. As a husband, maybe he wants to resolve his issues, but the wife is not interested in resolving issues. And so he is faced with a dilemma to leave. As a wife, I want to resolve these issues, but this man won't come to counseling with me. How do parents like that get unstuck? And again, in thinking, should I leave or should I stay? I want you to maybe address what those scenarios each look like. If there are any pros, please highlight them, but even the cons, like what staying in a dysfunctional relationship, I think you've already mentioned that it takes away from that life-giving resource, but also what it does to the children, and then leaving, what it does to both of you, to the children, and then maybe if there's anything that can be done to salvage both situations, both scenarios. This is a hard topic.
It is.
It's a hard one.
I need more coffee.
You need more coffee.
No, it is very hard. Can't believe I'm laughing, but it's sad. It's very sad. You see, it is, as I mentioned at the start, that no one gets into marriage to live. So by the time they want to leave, then there is a big problem. Okay, so in such a situation where definitely sometimes both partners are not considering, they are not, whenever there is a problem, I have ever mentioned that human nature is self-centered. We all are self-centered. And again, in my line of work as a therapist, marriage is the place that we exercise the highest amount of selfishness and self-centeredness.
That's true.
Right? Now, every time a situation happens, even when someone is wrong, they are trying to be right. So that reflects on our nature.
Yeah.
Now, so maybe I should start there and say, number one, definitely people need to put their conflict in the bigger picture. They need to know that this marriage, it's a big thing. It's big for them, but it's also big for their generations. When we say children, we don't look at generations.
Beyond.
It's generational, and in my, of course, from the standpoint of psychology, you see how certain things are generational. Now we don't consider that. We say, should I, honestly, can I die? And I want to emphasize that line of conversation, Rachel, that if we are intentional about building a relationship, then we need to know that happiness is also generational.
That's true.
It's generational. Whenever I'm doing, let me just give this example. I was talking to a lady recently, and she's a very happy person. She's a very, very happy person. And then she's working in this organization where the immediate supervisor is sad. He's a very sad person, very angry, unnecessarily, very, very aggressive. You know, like if she puts out this undue aggression, she asserts herself the wrong way. Now, I was doing psychoanalysis, and this lady, my client, she's like, but why? Like, she's so simple, she's so happy. So I asked her how she grew up.
Yeah.
She grew up in a loving family, people laughing, people happy, validate, affirmed, and you know, like she's happy. She's happy. And now she also has happy children.
She's passed that
Yes,
on.
because I've had an opportunity to meet with her children as well. Very happy children. Now, I'm talking about generational happiness or generational sadness and trauma, right? And so when we are married, for us to look at what we are doing, and I'm answering them, should I stay for the children? If you stay for the children, then work on the relationship.
Yes.
You see, because you cannot keep these children in a very unhealthy place
and expect positive results.
It cannot work. So, what can someone do? Be intentional. Now, you see, we've talked about it takes two to tango. In a relationship where there is conflict, it takes two people to solve this conflict. Now, it doesn't matter whether you think the other person has contributed 90% and yours is just 10, and then you keep saying, but it's just 10. In relationships, address your part. Address your part. Come in and address your part.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe that's what will turn the other person around. And then they say this. Again, I'm not just blowing my trumpet, but in every conflict, especially when we were newly married, all of us go through the same stages. Did we talk about the stages of marriage?
Not in detail.
We will.
We should, yeah.
But you see, there is a conflict stage. We talked about conflict stage. Any person will go through this. And so my principle always, not that I didn't struggle as well, but you see, my principle was, what is my part? Either I responded badly, either whatever I did, I made assumptions, either whatever it is, can you deal with your part? Just deal with your part. Don't wait for the other 90% to deal with their part so that you come in and top up with the 10. No.
Yeah.
Just come in. How are you resolving conflict? And that's why therapy is very important, because whenever we are navigating these issues with people, we say, okay, so this person did this, but how are you handling it?
Yeah.
What have you done?
Yeah.
Now, is your option only to pack and go, to leave the relationship, to go in a different space and all that? No, that is negative coping. But wherever it is, if we find that happens after you have explored all the other options, then but make sure you deal with conflict.
Sure.
Deal with conflict. You asked about therapy. Let me say something about therapy. Therapy is more effectual, definitely, when two people come.
For sure.
But I want to say here, don't wait to be Mr. and Mrs. always to go for therapy.
Yeah.
No. You need it for yourself. It's healing for yourself. Because you see, what is happening in your marriage is affecting your relationship. It's affecting you as a person. And I always tell people, one empowered person in a relationship can turn it around.
Turn things around. Yes.
You can turn things around.
Absolutely.
You see, you probably, because therapy is about self-awareness. It helps you to discover yourself, to know yourself. It also helps you to know the kind of person you're dealing with.
Yes.
You see, do you know them? Are you able to extend empathy? Are you able to, like, who is this person?
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
Then it also, the most important thing is therapy equips you with skills for problem solving. So every time we can't solve a problem, we get stuck.
Yeah.
You see, you don't get stuck because the problem is huge and insurmountable. We get stuck because we don't have the skills to solve. So therapy, don't wait to be Mr. and Mrs. to seek therapy. No. Talk to a therapist and say, I'm stuck. And then I will analyze. And probably then, you don't know, even sometimes, especially us women, we go like, let's go for therapy. Then the guy said, I don't want.
I don't want. I don't want an outsider in my business.
I don't want an outsider in my business. Actually, they say, I don't want our secrets to be known.
Yes.
But I always encourage, sometimes you don't know how you're asking.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, maybe you're horribly agitated and this person is scared. So even the way you're communicating that need can determine whether the person accepts or not. So I encourage people, don't wait to be Mr. and Mrs. to seek therapy.
That's true.
Seek therapy for yourself. You can actually cause a change in your relationship.
I actually think the other thing that therapy will do is just to help you make sense of the situation.
Absolutely.
You know, with very many unresolved issues, sometimes you're like, I don't even know why we are fighting anymore. I don't know when it started. I don't know when this thing blew up to the level that it's at. But if you have somebody asking you the right questions, digging into your background, digging into your own insecurities, your traumas, your, whatever it is, then you're like, oh, okay, so this is point A, this is point B, this is point C, and now how do I untangle myself?
100%. Yes, 100%, because that's why I was talking about self-awareness.
Yeah.
Understanding yourself, understanding your own contribution to the conflict. You could be giving yourself a 2% when actually it's 80.
This is true. This is true.
But through therapy, a professional will help you, number one, understand yourself, and also help you to analyze the whole situation. And you might find you're contributing
a lot more.
A lot more.
Yes.
A lot more. Remember, in relationships, we give ourselves...
We score highly.
We give ourselves a lot of grace.
Yeah.
And we tend to look at things from another person's. That's the person hurting me. That's the person hurting our relationship. So it's very hard, as I've mentioned before, that you cannot see the the full picture when you're in the frame.
Yeah.
So it is important that people seek therapy, and especially to my brothers, you can be the first one. And honestly, I've had so many men reach out, which I thank God for, and I have a soft spot for
the men.
For the men, yeah, because I feel men have been unfairly considered in this world. We put so much responsibility on them without supporting them. So I really thank God that I've seen my brothers reach out, and I want to encourage them. Don't wait for your partner to run for help. Run for help yourself. Yeah, every time I get a call from a man and he's coming in to restore his marriage, it's heartwarming for me. I see a lot of hope, and I'm not one of the people that are accusing men unfairly. What's wrong with you? No, they are actually reaching out. They just reach out. They go to places where they feel not judged. They feel people can understand them without accusing them. And so I just want to encourage that any of them can reach out. But
that's a slight segue as we talk about the men. I watched a video recently, and a guy had reached out. I don't know if it was a podcast or a radio show, and he was expressing how he just doesn't like his wife. And so the host was like, why is it that you don't like her? He's like, I just don't like her. I don't like being around her. In fact, when she's in a room, I'm almost disgusted. I don't want to be there. And so the host pressed and said, there must be a reason why you don't like your wife anymore, because they've been married quite a while. And he later opened up. He said, the reason I don't like her is because she belittles me, she criticizes me, she's constantly insulting me, second-guessing my choices, the things that I do. And it's just the way he brought it up. You can look at him and say he's such a horrible man for hating his wife, and then you're not addressing the root cause. And I think it goes for the women as well. I think in the course of our relationships, we make conclusions about our partners, but those conclusions are coming from somewhere. And I think the role of therapy is
very, very helpful, because you see, now like that person. It's about asking the right questions.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's about not making conclusions. Now, just imagine that person said it in a room of women on Women's Day.
He would be attacked. What kind of man is he?
How immature can you be? Look at you.
Can you hate your wife?
You see, a professional. That's why I encourage professional therapy. It's professional. There is lots of therapy around.
I'm sure there is.
Lots of it. Be careful who is speaking into your life at such a delicate junction, I'll call it. It's very important that you're talking to someone who can see beyond the upper layer, because then they can give you help that is not appropriate. You see how she asked why, and his problem was not because he hates the wife, it was because he hates or he hated what she does to him. Right? And so if you're going to address the issue, you need to go to the root of it. So that's why therapy is, I can never overemphasize that. It's not for the, it's not a luxury.
It's not for the rich people.
It's not for the rich people. It's not for the whites. It's not for the mad people.
This is true. That's a misconception.
It's for relational health. It is just the same way you would go to hospital to treat malaria. It's called talk therapy, and I want to repeat this: a problem shared is halfway solved.
Absolutely.
But a problem shared with a professional therapist is fully solved.
Wow.
So don't hold back. It's seek help.
Absolutely. So back to our conversation, even as we try and wrap it up, to the woman or man that is watching you today and they're like, I need someone to tell me what to do. Obviously, we can't tell you what to do, but what would you say to them in terms of navigating this dilemma? What are your, call them your parting shots, or maybe something practical that they can run with to say, okay, from this show, I picked that maybe I need to go and seek therapy, or I need to consider my reasons for leaving. What is that one thing you tell a man or woman who is faced with this dilemma?
I would say don't leave, don't stay just for first seek professional help. Because you know why? Because you see, this is a major decision. It's a very, very big decision that you have to make. And some people make the decision casually. They say, "Oh, is he the only man in the world? Oh, is he?" That's not the conversation. You see, the decision to leave has to be made after serious considerations, where you convince your brain that the decision you made, you had no other options.
That was the best decision.
That was the best decision. Now, even when people come for therapy in such circumstances, one of the assignments we give is, can you do the options? List your options, right? So there is this matrix you feel. You have the options, you have the benefits, but you also have the fears. You see, the kind of dangers you're seeing. You need to have that kind of analysis. Do I just go? That's why people go and come back. Right? Because they had not analyzed their options very, very well. At such a point, there is an important skill that has to be applied called critical thinking. Right? Now, critical thinking is not one of the skills that you pick on off the roadside. No. It is an important skill. You have to critically look at that. You can't say, I need my life. I have to feel, I feel. No, this is not a decision you make based on emotions. This requires critical thinking. So in thinking, then you have to analyze your options. So, and you can't do this without the help of a therapist.
That's true.
You see? So that's number one. Now, you can make a decision to leave, but you go with a baggage. Right? Now, I told you that mental clarity is important. And in such a situation, when you analyze your options and you make a decision, you're going to have closure over certain issues. Either closure, like you don't want to be regretting later on. So you need closure. You need to have a message for your brain.
That's true.
Yes, every time the brain doubts what you did, you have to go back to it and get a reason and give it and feed it. So I always tell people, under such circumstances, you need an answer to yourself, not for the public. What will I tell people? No, that's not the most important thing. Do you have what to tell yourself? And for you to have an answer for yourself, analyze all these things. Have going to a different bedroom. Have
what if my children find out?
Yes. So now that's what happens. So if you have that, when we are analyzing it, we say, so the benefits is like temporary. You're going to have a benefit that children are seeing you in the same space. But long term, what are some of the risks? What are some of the potential dangers? For you, for your children in long term. Are you sure? So that's why we ask questions. Are you sure you can sustain that? How long can you do that? How long have you done this? Because in the short run, someone comes and say, I've been doing this and done 2 months. So then we do projection. We say, okay, so let's give it another 1 year. How have you been feeling? Yeah, some days I feel good, but another day I feel stressed. So just imagine you have to live like that for another 1 year. Do you think you can pull it off? How about another year? How about another year? And so they realize it's not sustainable, right? Now, then you go to another living. What are the potential benefits to you, to your children? But what are the potential dangers? You see? In the short run and in the long run. How about this? So we go through that kind of options analysis, and it's important. Now, after doing this, then we again go through a whole process of making a decision. Then someone can come and say, yeah, I think I want to leave. Then we say, no, you go and think about it a little more. Think about it a little more. Or what are the considerations you need to make? You know, what fears do you have? The public is going to judge me. Then we analyze that as well. Write it down. Okay? How answerable
are you to the public?
But the most important thing is also in this, in therapy, you're able to help the person identify their support system.
That's important.
What kind of support do you have? It also helps to analyze what are the important options they can have. Because you see, when someone is struggling, they're going to come with one thing. They say, I want to live. But when you generate all these things, they realize they have more
options.
More resources and more solutions and available to themselves. So my number one advice would be, please seek therapy. Seek therapy. Through these conversations, we also have realized that people don't think about the bigger effect on their health, whatever decision they have to make, whether to stay in such a situation, like you mentioned, people just acting, but also on the children. It always comes out. But through these conversations, they are able to realize more considerations they have to make in order to determine whether to stay or to leave.
I feel like you've taken us now back to the beginning, which is you don't have a linear answer, because for both decisions, you have to make considerations thoroughly. You know, I like that analysis conversation where you're dealing with benefits, risks, dangers, and your options. What options do you have available? And so I feel like this has been helpful.
But I also wanted to, Rachel, just to add to what you had asked, what other options are available. I want to emphasize solving the problem.
Solving the problem.
Solve the problem. Before you ask yourself, should I leave, should I not? Solve the problem. What is it? What is it? Are you sure this can't be solved? Are you sure it can't? So that is important, because most of the time it's a war of egos.
That's true. That's true.
You know? Can't you solve this? What is it? Now, one of the things I've noticed, Rachel, is you know, human nature loves to run away from pain.
Hard things.
Hard things,
Yeah.
hard surfaces.
Yeah.
And we think when we run away from this and we start afresh,
That
it's
life
going
will
to be
be
much
better.
easier. That's why you hear statements like, I deserve better, I deserve better. Now, I was just sharing with a group recently and telling them what happens. You know, when you leave a relationship and you go to start another one, you're going to go through the same cycle. Now, people don't know that relationships go through, they grow. You know, love grows.
You've talked about that
Yes,
before.
love grows. Relationships go through stages. Now, when you, for instance, run away from a relationship because it's not working, a relationship doesn't work itself. You work it. So when you make a decision to leave, most of the time it's under the illusion that you're going to have a better relationship when you go out and start a better one, a new one. Now, I'll tell you that from my work and from relational science generally, there are people who can't sustain happiness in a relationship unless they start a new one.
Yeah.
Which is embarrassing.
It really
You see,
is.
it doesn't look good on anyone because you see, every new relationship you start, it's going to go through the same cycle. Most likely you'll find yourself in the same place, right? That's why, for instance, when people separate, science shows that when a relationship fails and you start a new one, there is actually a higher chance that relationship is going to fail as well, right? Now, that's why subsequently newer relationships fail more than
Got it.
the
original
ones.
Yes.
You see,
Yeah.
because here, number one, you went under the illusion that this is going to be much better. It's going to service you better. So there is a lot of decision making that has to happen. You have to consider reality that leaving doesn't mean you're going to be happy.
That's true.
No, it means you're going to start afresh. And when you start afresh, you're likely to find yourself in the same place.
So what will you do when
So
you
what
get
will you
to that
do?
place?
So that's an important element for us to consider, because running away from pain doesn't necessarily mean you've run away from...
You've run to better.
Yes, running away from a relationship that is malfunctioning doesn't mean you're going to run away from pain entirely. No, you're likely to find yourself in the same place. Yeah, because you're most of the time, especially if it's you that has caused the pain, you're still the same factor in the same place.
Yeah.
But also the fact that you're going, you also need to deal with your pain. That's why, again, therapy is important. Why have I left? Why have I taken this? So that you don't carry a baggage into the new relationship should you start it.
Yeah.
Rachel was also forgetting to say, there are drawbacks of staying in a relationship that is not functioning. I hope we have emphasized that. There are really drawbacks, because I mentioned that, for instance, children get constant exposure to pain and conflict and dysfunctionality, and that's not healthy. We also don't have an opportunity to model healthy relationships. You see, now when someone has to leave, then a decision, should everything fail and they must leave, because there has to be that point. So we can also not be here and be politically right and not mention that under certain circumstances where individuals are not willing to solve a problem, then it doesn't help children at all.
Yeah.
It does not help them, because they are exposed to deep and lasting conflict, which does not help them at all. So you can't have healthy relationship in an unhealthy home environment.
That's true.
It is terrible. So should you leave, should you make a decision to leave, remember that you're getting therapy for you as an individual, but most importantly for the children.
Yeah.
Because remember, children have a lot of questions they are asking. What happened? How come these people? What's wrong? And that's why we get children get sad, get withdrawn, get confused, start peeing on the bed when they are 13, fail in school and all that. And then we think, oh, we are just acting, or we are
staying for the children and done a good thing.
No, because children need answers to certain things, and they are not like adults. Adults, we know how to run to a pastor, run to who, talk to Rachel, I'm going through, especially if you are a woman.
Yes.
But children, they're just they're sucking stuff in. They are looking at it, they are exposed to this pain every day, and it's not healthy.
No, it's not.
So they need someone who they can share with. Now remember, under such circumstances, parents are struggling, they can't provide answers.
So who is going to provide these answers?
Or children are frustrated, they can't talk to parents. So it's very important that parents consider children speaking to a child psychologist. Yeah, they need an outlet. Otherwise, it's going to be too much on them. That's how they break down. That's how they get depressed. That's how some children get suicidal. That's why. So let's not take it as a small matter.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Are you done?
I was giving parting shots.
Oh, please. I thought those were your parting shots. Go ahead.
No, let me just make an important statement here to say that number one, when we get together, we need to know that our relationship goes beyond the two of us.
That's true.
That will help us later on when we are making a decision. Should I stay? Should I leave?
Yeah.
Number two, that this relationship requires lots of investment, and investment that is intentional. Intentional, knowing that this is a life-giving relationship, so that we don't get to a place where we are saying, should I leave, should I go? But also, Rachel, once again, to say that there's no relationship there's no problem in this relationship that cannot be resolved. Maybe murder, maybe, but as long as we are adults, let's try. Let's push down our pride and ego, knowing that what we are dealing with is not some random relationship, but very, very important life-giving. And should we fail to manage it for some strange reason, let's know that it's going to affect our children so much, and so acting alive doesn't. Because sometimes we act alive. We are like wrestlers. When they are wrestling and hitting and someone they say, I think they are dead, and then they say,
next thing you know.
No. So let's not just act alive. Let's be alive. Let's be alive for these children. Let's be alive for ourselves. Let's be alive. And remember, living just to start a new relationship, most likely it might end the same
way. You've said so many important things, and I hope that our audience has taken note especially if you're in a scenario like this, or if you know someone who is navigating this dilemma. I think there's a lot of considerations to make before you leave, because it's a very big decision. And since we're talking about children in this particular episode, you have them to consider, because they are the next generation, and you don't want certain things to create patterns in your lineage and in your ancestry. So thank you for sharing that information with us. And again, if you'd like to book a session with Dr. Evers, please take advantage of the contacts on your screen and get the help that you need. If you are dealing with something like this or any other mental health challenge. We'll be back again next week. Do come by Suma Coffee House and Wellness Center. Grab yourself some wonderful supplements for your physical health journey, but also get yourself a session with Dr. Evers. It's a wonderful, beautiful space. You can actually come sit here and work if you're looking for a space to work, in the middle of the day and in the middle of the city.
Healthy meals.
Very healthy meals, yes. Served right from breakfast all the way to dinner. Yes, right here at Total Energies in Kamucha. Until then, stay well, stay healthy. We'll see you back again here next week on Reality Check. Bye-bye.